What's your take on all of this? Why are you here? Why are you supporting Island 17? Why are you curious about it even? And what is it about creativity, technology, engaging young people, and tackling the SDGs that's so important and so relevant now?
Thank you. Awesome presentation, Rachel, and the entire group over here. So kudos to each individual who's been involved. So, and thank you, Nikki, for inviting me to this whole show over here. Uh, this is all awesome work, and I would be exaggerating if I say that you are the pioneers of this work, but I would say that you are definitely the early adapters and the early starters in this arena of gamification, and in the way that you are incorporating meaning into gamifying for the intertwining of the sustainable development goals. Let me tell you a little story, and it will be prior to probably a lot of you guys who were probably not born even, maybe 20, 21 years ago. If you guys are familiar with Keyhole, the Keyhole, the software, and how it ended up, the Keyhole became Pokemon Go and Ingres. So Keyhole was a little effort back in Kansas where I'm based, and that's why it's a local story. In Lawrence, Kansas, it all started over here. That a small team of computer scientists, gamers, cartographers, AI researchers. Even at that time, yeah, sure. And they were all kind of passionate about geospatial technologies and applications. And they created Keyhole. That's what they thought was a cool name, and I think it is cool. And it was a first of its kind product that let users basically zoom into interactive 3D maps of the planet. And it was conceived as a video game at that time, and that would let people from across the globe experience uh, any corner of the planet. So it was ahead in the curve at that time, 20.
Mm.
Uh, it was finally acquired by, you know, uh, Google, and we used Keyhole, became Google Earth, and Google Maps is one of the interfaces which we use, is a subset of Google Earth, which finally it's like a long evolution. And out of Google Maps came Niantic Labs, and Niantic Labs created field trips, and the more famous Ingres and Pokemon Go. Well, Pokemon Go has a huge component, and these days Niantic is considered as one of the leading AR companies in the world. And with augmented reality, and I think Sanjay put a question was in the chat, like what that he would like to know how this whole proposition of Island 17 or the archipelago you guys have meets the real world, where we call these days the digital twins. That's the nexus where the real action takes place. And little was said in the presentation, and that's perfectly fine. I understand this is a 2-week sprint and an internship, and there are many good things that are going to come out of it. But going back to the story of Pokemon Go, apart from the fun part and the kind of virality it had, we all know. But one component they achieved was that people walked billions of miles chasing the Pokemon, finding it, detecting it, what have you. And they incorporated that people exercised more. And one of the SDGs is health care and exercising and bringing all that down. And so that was their sort of CSR, which came into play later on. The corporate social responsibility, the old school will understand that, right, Michael? So, but having said that, all these things like gamification of SDGs, especially Island 17 with partnerships, I think it's wonderful. I have many other stories brewing. They've failed tremendously at several multinational organizations, including the United Nations and the World Bank. I was talking to Nikki. Unfortunately or fortunately, if you have that old mindset, forget about the number, the age, an older person or something, which still exists there in the decision-making places. And certain projects like Island 17, it's very hard to lift. But I think there is a new, younger thought process and abundant mindset which has slowly, gradually risen into these organizations, be it in DC or New York, elsewhere in the world. So I can keep talking on these things later on. Perhaps I should give a chance to others to reflect, and maybe I can interject whenever it is required. So thank you and good work, everybody.
The Next Gen Economy podcast is brought to you by Exo Angels and sponsored by Island 17, Dream Tank, Exo Economy, and Futureville. Visit us at nextgen-economy.com.
Next Gen Economy Podcast, Accelerating Breakthroughs.